I am Shodipo Ayomide, and today at this conference, I'm super excited to be here at the 2019 Conference 2020, and I'm going to be speaking about the ideal community model, basically covering the lessons learned I've learned while building a couple of communities here in Africa and global, I guess. So, so, my name is Shodipo Ayomide. I am from Lagos, Nigeria. I work at Fleet as a senior developer advocate. So a community wrangler for, so these are just some of the communities I run. Yeah, some of them. So on Slack Africa, Developer Circle Lagos on Facebook, Open Source Community Africa, and Africa Hacks. You can find me on Twitter at DeveloperIO or GitHub at DeveloperIO. Also, you can see some of my projects I work on there. Okay, let's move forward. Okay, something quite important I want to mention. So if we are tweeting about this session, we can use the hashtag that says Black People in Technology. It's a really important hashtag. Yeah, a very important hashtag. Sorry about the cuts. Let's move forward. So let's dive into everything we have to do about this session. So first things first, why do we organize events? Why exactly would I say, okay, I'm an organizer, I want to put together an event, I want to organize an event, why? Basically, that's to share knowledge across people and connect. The major thing about you bring to a community is sharing knowledge among people and making people connect, making people speak to speakers who are probably on the senior level, who they will want to get some kind of information from about anything. So probably, let's say, for example, a creator of a technology we all use, like Webpack, say, okay, I want to speak at this event, and is speaking, and automatically people love to connect with him and know about, okay, what's coming in the next version of Webpack, what's coming in the next version of this, ask questions and connect basically over Twitter and just speak. So I'm going to be using, via tweeting, use the hashtag Black People in Technology over Twitter. You can also tag me as DevelopIO. I'll definitely retweet once I see it. So there are 4 levels of community involvement we are looking at. Number 1 is attending events. Number 2 is sharing. Number 3, collaboration. And number 4, rather, leadership. That's basically starting up a project. So I'm going to take over all of this heading one after the other, and I'm going to explain what exactly I mean by all of this. So first things first is attending events. So you can be involved with a community just by constantly attending events organized by a particular community. Your attendance is in a way of contributing to the community as a whole. So just by you attending events organized by, for example, these events organized by June 19th and the amazing organizers at the back end. These guys are putting those things together, and you are attending this event right now. You are supporting these people with your attendance. You are supporting a community with you attending, with you listening, with you following, taking out a couple of hours from your time just to follow this conference. That is super exciting, and it's a way to contribute to a community. That's one way. Now let's look at the next way. Sharing. So talking about how successful an event is going, and talking about how an event is going, and also sharing that basically how the event is going right now, sharing that on social media. So you can like this event that's going on right now, June 19th, how exactly this event is going, and you go over social media, you share it on Twitter, you share it on Facebook, saying this is going super well. You can also take a screenshot of a slide, then push over to Twitter or Facebook. You can get to know how the event is going. That's basically you helping the community in PR. People getting to know about what exactly this conference is about, this community is about, this event is about. Is in a way of you supporting. They don't have to pay you to do this, but it's something you would do just to contribute to a particular community, and I believe you should, because communities are something that is really important, and it's not just something that's just for some people, but for everyone. So the next thing is collaboration. Every community have projects they are working on at some point in time. In your free time, you've been able to head over to their GitHub repository and contribute some code, designs, documentation, or any kind of addition you feel is necessary. Is a significant way to contribute to a community. So there are projects over on GitHub by this community. They might be building a new website. They might be building an application they are using for their next event. They might need somebody to, okay, I need someone to take a look at this code. You might see issues that have tags like help wanted. So as a community member, you can go over to this repository and work on them. It can be design, it can be documentation, it can be coding, just for you to hop on them and just work them out for the community. You're not going to pay you for this. This is still community work and your way of supporting a community. And when you tend to do this most times, you definitely will be noticed by the organizers of the community and probably called into the community as a co-lead or something to support the community in some way. And that leads me to the next thing I'm talking about, which is leadership. So at some point in time, while the community grows, it would need more team members. As an active member of the community, your applying should be a yes. So automatically, as the community is growing, they're going to need more people to come into the system to help join the leadership and organize more events, put in more effort to make certain things happen. They have great ideas. They would want people to hop on and give them support. And you as a community member and has been contributing to, as I said, in collaboration on GitHub, by design, by codes, also by sharing, attending their events. So automatically you automatically are eligible for this role as a co-lead or co-organizer for this event. Or you just have to just apply and just say yes. Then yeah, you're on board. So some questions that a lot of people are going to have about communities is, number one, how do I find a community in a new city? You travel, let's say, for example, you're relocating from, let's say, from the US to the UK, or some part of the UK to another part of, let's say, from London to Bristol, or any other part of the world. You're just relocating to somewhere. How do I find a community in this my city? That's the first question. Then the next question would be, how do I build a community? So I didn't find a community. How do I build one? I didn't find a community that is suitable for my current skill, and I believe in the current ecosystem of this new city. Sorry. Yeah, current ecosystem of this new city, there are quite a number of these kind of developers or designers, but there's no community available. So then what do? You build a community. Then the next thing is how open source works in a community. How exactly do I take a look at this and make it work? Next is, how do I contribute my ideas as a member of a community? How exactly do I input ideas and just create value inside a community? How do I do that as a member? So yeah, let's dive into these questions. And yeah, don't forget to tweet using the Black People in Technology hashtag on Twitter, or post on Facebook or LinkedIn, however you want to do it. So yeah, let's get right into it. So how to find a community? So finding a community as a developer or a designer should be one of the easiest things to do in any city you arrive in. There should be at least 3 communities in a particular city organizing for different ecosystems. So for when we have community, we have ecosystems. Community are tailored towards, for example, JavaScript. There are JavaScript communities that are based on just JavaScript. They wouldn't organize an event based on PHP. They wouldn't do that, because why? They are JavaScript community. That is their specialty. That's their ecosystem. They wouldn't want to do something about PHP. So what I'm saying here is there should be a community for JavaScript, a community for PHP, a community for Ruby and other languages that are really in use at that time in that ecosystem, that you believe will bring people together, and people will love to learn from the amazing creators and speakers that will be speaking on this technology. Now, you can find communities more on. You travel to a new city. Let's say you are relocated from one city to another city in the community. How do you find a city again? You can find a community in your city by searching through websites like meetup.com, Facebook, Google, or even Eventbrite. So you just go in here, put the name of your city, then put that type of community you're looking for. It can just be JavaScript. Then it gives you a list of communities that run JavaScript around your location. That helps you so well. So certain communities are available in almost every city of the world, thanks to Google and Facebook, which is the Google Developers Group and the Developer Circles from Facebook. So these are like the major communities that are available in almost every city of the world. Yeah, in Lagos here. So in Lagos here, I co-organize Developer Circle Lagos from Facebook, and constantly for 3 years now, including this year 2020. We have been the largest devs in the world, with currently a total of 23,000 plus technical talent in the community. Now, Developer Circle Lagos, Developer Circles from Facebook is not tailored towards React or, how should I put it, a particular technology, but it's tailored towards basically everything that pertains to technology itself, but is still limited to certain Facebook technologies because it's a Facebook community. So you can't have an Angular workshop in a Facebook community. You would have to have React, because React is made by Facebook and Angular is made by Google. But then there are still other subjects you can have under Developer Circle Lagos, Developer Circles from Facebook rather. You're going to have events tailored towards designers, events towards writers, events towards anything. Then Google developers groups, you can have talks that tailor towards performance in Angular, um, Angular IO, Flutter, all of these things inside the Google developers group. So yeah, these are two. So in your city, no matter where you are, there's definitely one of these two communities there. And I would say you can find the Google developers group over on meetup.com. You can find the developer circles from Facebook groups over on Facebook. Just search developer circles. For example, I live in Lagos, Nigeria. So I search developer circles Lagos from Facebook. If you live in London, you search developer circles London from Facebook. If you live in San Francisco, you say developer circles San Francisco from Facebook. New York, developer circles New York from Facebook, and so on. So yeah, let's go to the next thing. So I didn't find a community. How else do I build a community? How do I build this? So start. You have to start a community by yourself. But that's one of the hardest things to do. That's really really hard to do as a person, because you must be someone who is tailored towards the community and know your specialty in the community. What exactly are you good at in the community? Some people are good at everything. Yes, that's possible. When so I usually have this saying. I believe I heard it somewhere, but this is like one of the things I stand for, which is I no one will join your idea if you cannot scale it yourself for the start, at least for a start. So before you can look for a team to join your idea, you must firstly have every strategy on ground. You must have like a lot of things on ground that you're bringing to the people, saying, okay, guys, come join me on this idea. These are the plans I have. These are the strategies I've put in place. Just take a look at this and tell me if you'll be willing to join. So, but if you like to start a community, you will need probably need a team. If you are not a solo person, most of the communities I started, for example, I started on Stack last year. I started the community alone. I ran it alone for a couple of months. Then, as of today, we have about 11 people, 11 organizers on the team, and that's big right now. And we're excited to like organize on Stack. So yeah, you might also need a mentor if this is your first time trying to build a community. You might need a mentor who have been organizing events before. You might need the person to just help you, guide you, and other things. So I'm going to show you a list next. Yeah. So here are some steps that are going to help you when trying to build communities. You can also screenshot this and tweet about it using the hashtag still Blackbean Technology. Tag the conference, tag me, tag anybody you want to tag, and just like tweet about this, and let's share to Twitter and just share, support the community. And yeah. So first things first, when you're building a community, the first thing you need to think about is set up goals. What are the goals I want to achieve while organizing this community? You write them down, either Google Docs, Notions, or even on a book. That's simple. So set up your goals, write them down, put together a team. So putting together a team is optional. You can do that, but at the same time, you might not want to. You might just want to do something yourself because you want it to scale first before you can get people on board. So you put together a team if you want to or not. When you're done with that, you pick a theme. Since you have your goal set, you have, okay, this is the goal of this community, and like this kind of people I want to have in this community, this kind of community I want to build. So next, you want to host an event, definitely. So for that event, the first thing you pick a theme. What would this event be about? So it's going to be about React, it's going to be about Angular, it's going to be about Vue, it's going to be about Flutter, it's going to be about React Native, going to be about security, going to be about performance. You pick a theme. Once you're done picking the theme, the next thing you think about is, I need a date. Very important. I need a date for this event, and this date should be something that doesn't clash with any other events. It should be something unique in a unique day, and most likely should be a Saturday. That's most events that are really good happens on the weekends. So it's better to have it on the weekend. And one of the hardest things to always do when you're organizing an event is finding a location. That's the hardest thing to do when you're organizing any event. So this is where you're going to find a little bit of struggle here. And you might also want to reach out to other organizers and ask them the venue they use when they were organizing their own events. So pick a date and a location. So after picking a date and a location, the next thing is to create a budget. So you create a budget on what exactly you want to spend money on. If you would be giving the speakers some stipends, you put that in the budget. If you would be purchasing drinks, you put that in the budget. Food, budget. Snacks, budget. Swags like shirts in the budget, socks in the budget, pens in the budget, a book in the budget. Whatever is going to cost money, you put all of that in the budget, and whatever you want to get, you put that in the budget. Even the cost of the location you are using, if it's not free, you put that in the budget. Then once you have your budget all set up, you then look for sponsors. You look for companies who align with the vision of your community, not just any company. You organize an event towards React. You don't go to a company that's primary technology is Angular, that they are not aligning with your community. You have to look for a company that can support your vision, are who really work with the things that your community is about to host on. Then they'll be sponsoring for, because like your community is aligned to where their company sees itself probably in the next 5 years or something. So once you're done with getting sponsorship, you find speakers. Or while you don't have to be done with getting sponsorship. You can be while you're getting sponsorship, or depends on your how confident you are that you're going to get sponsorship. You can start finding great speakers. But if you're not so confident and it's your first time, get the sponsorship first. Then once you've gotten that, you find your speakers. So if you do not get sponsorship, you know that you haven't gotten speakers that you can pay anything for. So after sponsorship, you find your speakers, and they must be great speakers, and every speaker are great. They are amazing people. Find them over Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. People, just find them and get them to speak. Give them an amazing topic, or let them pick their topics, whichever you want. So you have the option of getting these speakers to fly into the country and speak at the event. You also have the option, if you don't have enough sponsorship funds, to get your speakers to speak remotely from their location via Zoom. So these speakers could, like right now that we're speaking virtually, if it's not for the current pandemic, it could have been a physical event, and that would be awesome also. So these speakers could speak at the conference, either from wherever they are, from Nigeria, as where I am today, from San Francisco, and when your conference is in a place like, let's say, Russia or something. So it could be like that. So after finding a great speaker, the next thing you have to do is get everyone super excited that you're hosting the conference. Go over Twitter, make a buzz about it. You don't have to run ads, but if you want to run ads, that's totally fine, but you don't have to run ads. Just make everyone excited, tweet about it, tweet about the content the speakers we're speaking of, tweet about the speakers. Twitter will be your best place to be if you're trying to do a community. Facebook is also a great place. But I use Twitter more. I'm mostly on Twitter. That's like my favorite social media. So I'm kind of like always tweeting, reading tweets, retweeting tweets, commenting on tweets. Like, yeah, mostly on Twitter. So get everyone excited. Then after getting everyone excited that, okay, an event is coming, the next thing you have to do is to get attendees to register. So you create a registration either via Eventbrite. You can create your own registration via Google form, type form, whichever form you want to use to collate the data, the email, the username, the email, the full name, the number, the any other information you want to collect from attendees. Get the form, put all these details in a form. Then once that's done, once the event is coming up, you send them emails, something like that. So they can get the link or anything you want to send to them via email. So once people are registering and registration is ongoing, the next thing you have to do is plan the logistics for the speakers and attendees. So logistics in a way, that's arranging, going to the event center and making that place suitable, testing out the microphones, setting up the chairs, setting up the stand for the speakers. Logistics also like sorting out travel plans, tracking flights of the speakers, going to pick up them at the airport, getting them to lodge in their hotel. The next day, take them from the hotel down to the venue, from the venue down back to the hotel. All of those are all logistics. You have to plan all of those out and how you exactly are going to do all of that. And you also have to plan for cases like when your speakers get stuck at the airport. For example, when I was co-organizing Open Source Festival in February, some of our speakers got stuck at the airport. I had to plan and say, okay, I'm going to bring on my passport. And since I have a couple of visas that are interesting, so they take a look, okay, this guy is not just from anywhere. So like, okay, they allowed me to enter. So they held the speakers were bringing it over at immigration. So I showed them my passport and they just, okay, like after all the discussion said, okay, enter, you can just stand outside of immigration. Then someone just go in and call them, just call one of them. So I was able to get inside the exit route. That doesn't happen normally, but they allowed me in. So I got to see the speakers and I had to explain to them, okay, they're in the country for a conference and this is the conference flyer, this is all of this. So they were like they released them back to me. So that's part of logistics, things you have to figure out when you're on the community. Then next thing is always get feedback after every successful event. So after every successful event you plan, always get feedback. send the form via email. This is the first reason why I said when you're registering, they should always put in an email address. So you send a feedback form saying you attended this event. We're so excited to have you. Can you fill up this feedback form or a survey about how this event went? It should be anonymous. They shouldn't put in names. They shouldn't put in where they work. Just feedback. Then let them say what they have to say. So anybody can say this was the worst event I ever attended. Somebody can say this is the best event I ever attended, and they put why. So you have to put all these things together. So if you say the bad reasons, they can tell you, okay, everything was great, but the food was bad. Okay, everything was great, but coordination of the speakers and coordination of the organizers was really bad. These things should help you as an organizer get better planning your future events. So you send out thank you emails, then you analyze what went wrong and what went well. Then once you're done with all of that, next thing you do is you plan another event for the community. Then it goes on and on and on and on and on. Keep planning events and keep supporting the community. Yeah. So keep going on how exactly do I build a community. So do not start. This is one of the major things that I need to spell out that everyone needs to know. So don't start a community, another community, when there is one already existing in the same city just because you want to own a community. So don't do that. That would be wrong and that wouldn't work. So instead, you should collaborate and co-own something bigger. It would be better for you if you could collaborate with the already existing community. You send a message to the lead, get some ways to convince him, and say, okay, I would love to collaborate with you on this idea. I have some good ideas I would love to share if you are willing to listen. Then definitely he's a community person, so he's going to be open to listening to what you have to say. Then you jump on a meeting, share your ideas, and collaborate. You don't have to start another community in a city where there is one already just because you want to own something. It's better for you to co-own something bigger than for you to own something and start them from scratch all over again. There's something I love to say again, which is when you see somebody else doing something amazing, the best way to rise faster is when you can collaborate with that person who is doing something great already. Then you rise faster than starting something from scratch. Then when you're rising faster with this person, you can contribute your ideas, the person also contributes ideas, and it's all collaboration. That's better than starting something from scratch when something already exists, so there's no that confusion in the community. So collaboration first. So how exactly does open source work? How open source works in the community? So this is what I'm going to explain. So open source in the community is a free software built by the community for the community and improvement shared across technical talents in a community. So I'm going to take that over again. So we just capture what exactly I'm trying to put right here. So open source in a community is a free software built by the community. That's by everyone in the community for the people in the community, and improvement shared across technical talent in the community. So this is the definition I have for open source that I use at my talk in Feature Sync conference, and I believe is a really valid point, and I love to use this anywhere. So yeah, you should be able to find ongoing projects by a community as a member and contribute via any skill you have: coding, design, documentation, writing, anything at all. So open source, everything about a community is definitely open source. As long as it's a community, everything's open source. The websites, any application the community uses is open source. As long as they built it, it's open source on GitHub. You go over there, you find an issue, you find something that doesn't work right, you fork the repo, then fix the issue, create a pull request, then the organizers get to see a pull request, oh, this is an amazing addition, and just add it up. But then, as we all know, the process of creating a pull request is always before you can fork the repo first, but before starting to fix this issue, you have a discussion with the organizers, with the owner of the repository. So you create an issue, say, this works this way, but it's not supposed to. It's meant to work this way, as my experience say. Then you just drop a lot of comments and all of that, then just hit send. Then wait a couple of minutes or hours, and the organizers see it and comment that's true. You'll be willing to create a pull request, so please go ahead. Then you move ahead with creating a pull request, send a pull request, and boom, pull request is merged, and you're officially contributing to a community via open source. So yeah, just whatever community you are in, always try to check out their GitHub repo so you can contribute to their projects they have open, so you can really contribute to a community itself. So how do I contribute to my ideas as a member of a community? So this is a really important part. So as usual, every community have leads and co-leads who run the community and make a lot of things happen. if you have a unique idea or an event, the websites, anything at first that things that, just reach out to the organizer of community and they would help you with anything. You have ideas that you believe that will work on the website, ideas that you think that will be great for a next event, reach out to the organizers. Whatever you think that would be great for a next event, anything you have, however you think they can run the community better, reach out to the organizers. They definitely will respond to you. um, if it's a really great idea, they would love to have you on board, and definitely just to bring your ideas that you have to life, and you will definitely be referenced that this idea came from you. And yeah, because like communities promote transparency. So get the organizers, tell them about your idea. It can be Twitter, send a DM saying, I have this idea. This is for your community. For example, I run on Stack. So I have an idea for the Unstack community. This is what I think. I know you're seven African countries. So, but I think if we do this and this, we would get a bigger audience. We would get a bigger event. We get a bigger conference. Someone shared the idea with me. I say, oh wow, that's exciting. Let's do this. Like, let's really do this. Then I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Then I say, okay, come on board, join the team. Let's make this happen. It's as simple as that. I contributed my idea, and now I am a co-founder or co-organizer of this event. That's big for me because I now co-organize an event, and that would look really great on my CV. And I would also be contributing to the larger ecosystem of people. So one of the biggest ad when organizing a community, as I said earlier, is social media. If you're going to become a community person, you must also put enough energy on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, where we have people actively sharing. You must share things. You must share things that adds value to people. You must share a lot of things that helps people, become better developers, become better designers. Yeah. So long-term communication is key to keeping a community going. Long-term communication, communicating usually via Slack, Facebook groups, email newsletters, Discord channels, whichever way you're going to put together to allow everybody to be consistent and following up with what you are doing with your community. For example, on Slack, we have so a little bit on Stack is so on Stack as of today is a community I founded in 2019 August, and as of today on Stack is in 6 African countries and 1 international country. So we are trying to expand the workshop sense, trying to host because our plan for Stack is to host events across African countries to help build people with credible technical skill. For example, every conference, every event that Unstack holds is tailored towards workshop. For example, our last event was a React workshop where we had Dan Abramov, the creator of React, speak at. We had